All right, welcome. Today, we're going to crank things up and take a guided tour through the huge and, honestly, super creative world of heavy metal. If you think it's all just one kind of loud guitar music, well, you're about to have your mind changed. Let's get into it. So, have you ever been talking about music and someone says a band is death metal or power metal, and you're just kind of nodding along thinking, what does that even mean? Well, you are in exactly the right place because we're about to draw a map of this whole musical universe. Okay, so first things first, where did this all start? It all goes back to the late 1960s. Bands basically took rock and roll and turned every single knob up to 11. The core ingredients were 1. Super loud guitars with that fuzzy, crunchy sound we call distortion. 2. Drums that are so powerful you can literally feel them in your chest. And 3. Singers with these massive voices that can just slice right through all that sound. This right here, this is the starting point for everything else we're going to talk about. Our first stop on this tour is all about one thing, and one thing only: speed. We're looking at the subgenres that are obsessed with pushing the limits of how fast musicians can possibly play. Now, this is super interesting because at first, these two might sound a little similar. Think of thrash metal like a high-speed chase scene in a movie. It's fast, it's sharp, it's got this relentless driving rhythm. The vocals are more like aggressive shouting, and the lyrics are often about real-world stuff like social problems. Death metal, on the other hand, it's not just fast, it's intensely heavy. The vocals drop way down into this deep, guttural growl, and the speed isn't constant. It can switch up in a heartbeat, making it feel way more chaotic. The themes get darker too. Think horror movies and ancient mythology. So, how do thrash bands get that constant machine gun-like rhythm? A lot of it comes down to this technique called double bass drumming. You see, instead of just one big bass drum that the drummer kicks, they have two, or a special pedal that lets them hit one drum twice as fast. This creates that thunderous, non-stop pulse that really drives the music. It's basically the engine of thrash metal. And then for death metal, drummers often unleash this, the blast beat. This is even more extreme. Here, the drummer is playing so unbelievably fast on multiple drums at once that it almost stops sounding like a distinct rhythm. Instead, you get this overwhelming wall of sound. It's less about a beat you can tap your foot to and more about creating this feeling of pure sonic force. But hey, metal isn't all about speed. Not even close. Our next stop is with the masters of mood, the subgenres where creating a powerful atmosphere is absolutely everything. And what's so cool about this is how you can have three totally different styles that are all dark, but they feel completely different. You've got black metal, which is often super fast, but it uses that speed to create this cold, raw, almost blizzard-like sound, usually with high-pitched, shrieking vocals. Then, on the complete opposite end, you have doom metal. It is incredibly slow. The guitars are thick and heavy, creating a gloomy, sorrowful feeling. And then somewhere in the middle is gothic metal. The vibe is dark, but also kind of romantic and emotional. You'll often hear a mix of male and female singers, and they'll even bring in pianos or violin. Hey, remember that cold, buzzing atmosphere we mentioned with black metal? A huge part of that sound comes from this guitar technique right here. Tremolo picking is when a guitarist picks a single note or chord incredibly fast. It creates this shimmering, almost vibrating wall of sound that's become a total signature of the genre. Okay, let's keep moving. Next up on our tour, the storytellers. These are the metal subgenres that are all about using music to create big, epic, almost cinematic tales. If you love fantasy books, video games, or epic adventure movies, then power metal is probably for you. Seriously, it's like the soundtrack to a fantasy world. It's fast, yeah, but in a really positive and uplifting way. The focus is all on big melodies, clean and powerful high-pitched singing, and these huge, catchy choruses you can't help but sing along to. And the lyrics? They're all about heroes, dragons, mythology, and epic battles. Now, symphonic metal takes that whole epic idea and pushes it to a completely different level. This style literally combines a heavy metal band with a full-blown classical orchestra. We're talking violins, cellos, brass, choirs, the whole shebang. It often features female singers who have classical or opera training, and that contrast between the heavy guitars and the gorgeous orchestra creates this massive, dramatic movie score sound. All right, for our final stop, we are visiting the rule breakers. These are the subgenres that really prove that metal can be fused with just about any other kind of music you can think of. This is where things get really wild. First up, folk metal. And yeah, it's pretty much exactly what it sounds like.
It takes the power and energy of heavy metal and smashes it together with traditional folk instruments, things like fiddles, whistles, flutes, even accordions. The music often celebrates cultural stories and ancient legends, and it has this really fun, energetic, almost danceable vibe to it.
Next, we have industrial metal. This style fuses those heavy guitar riffs with cold electronic sounds, synthesizers, samples, and robotic machine-like drum beats. It creates a sound that's both heavy and futuristic, kind of like the soundtrack to a gritty sci-fi movie about a dystopian future. You might actually recognize this one. Nu metal blew up in the late 90s and early 2000s. It did something new by blending metal with elements from hip-hop and alternative rock. So you'll hear vocals that mix rapping with singing, and the guitar riffs are still heavy but often have a simpler, more bouncy, rhythmic feel to them, usually without those long technical guitar solos. And finally, we have progressive metal. This is for anyone who loves really complex, detailed music. It takes the power of metal and combines it with the super intricate song structures and next-level technical skill of progressive rock. The songs are often really long, they're full of changes in speed and mood, and they tackle some pretty deep philosophical ideas. So what makes progressive metal sound so complex and, well, unpredictable? A big part of it comes down to their use of changing time signatures. You see, most music you hear has a simple blueprint you can count along to, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Progressive bands love to rip up that blueprint. They'll write a section where you have to count to 7, then maybe one where you count to 5, then back to 4, all within the same song. It's what makes the music feel so intricate and keeps you on your toes. So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Well, it's that heavy metal is not just one sound. It's this massive, incredible family tree of music. It has branches that explore pure speed, deep, gloomy moods, epic storytelling, and just wild experimental fusions. It is truly one of the most diverse and creative genres on the planet. So, we've basically handed you the map of the entire metal world, from the super-fast highways of thrash to the grand concert halls of symphonic metal. The only question left is, where are you going to start your adventure? Which style will you explore first?